Ooh, yes. How y'all doing this morning? Good to see y'all in the space. Do me a favor, if you're watching, just drop a comment so I can say what's up. Hi, hello. How you doing? Hey y'all, what's up everybody? Welcome to the Monday Mindset Movement. I'm your man, your friend, your buddy, the dude that is in front of you this morning, Robert Kennedy III, RK3. That's me. It's been a couple of weeks, y'all. I've been jumping around doing graduations and all sorts of stuff, but let's get started with the Monday Mindset Movement this morning. Here's how we do this. I want you to get your mind right. I want you to get in a place and in a space where you can move through the rest of this week with power. So say this with me. Do me a favor. Say this with me. I get to choose. Yeah, say that. I get to live. Yeah, say that. I get to be happy. Yes, say that. I get to create the success I enjoy in my life. Yes. Go ahead. If that resonated with you this morning, just go ahead and type yes in the chat. Yeah. So my caption this morning, do you feel stuck? Do you feel like you've lost your power? I know why. I know why you feel that way. Let's talk about it this morning. We want to talk about 3 things keeping you stuck and how you can regain your power. So let's kickstart our Monday with some power. Welcome to the Monday Mindset Movement. Let's do it.
Time to get motivated, elevated, and accelerated. It's your time to jump out of your comfort zone and reach higher. It's time to get up and go. Grab your cup of grit and your daily dose of resilience. It's time for the Monday Mindset Movement with your host, Robert Kennedy III, RK3. It's time.
Yeah. Hey, Marie-Claude Bastien, how you doing? So glad that you're here this morning. Thank you for saying yes. I like it. Hey, Jennifer, good to see you this morning. Good to see you, Jessica. Hey, what's going on, Mark C? How you doing this morning? Good to see you. So glad that you're here. OMG, I am so glad that y'all are here in the space today. Yes, I want to respond to you. Go ahead and type your name in the chat. Just let me actually put Marie-Claude on the screen. There we go. Excellent. So glad that you're here this morning. All right. Well, we're going to jump on in and get started this morning. So today we are talking about regaining your control. Remember, the Monday Mindset Movement is a 15 minutes of motivation, elevation, inspiration designed to get you rocking, rolling, thinking, blinking through your week. Thank you all for showing up on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Hey, Nathalie, Greg, what is up? I miss you, my friend. It's been a little bit. Yes, that's my fault. I don't blame you at all. Oh, yes. So let's do this. Do me a favor. If you want to know when we're going live, text live to 240-557-8679. That's live, L-I-V-E, to 240-557-8679. So let me ask you this question. We'll start out with this morning. Have you ever felt out of control? If you've ever felt out of control, type me in the chat. Let me ask it another way. Maybe it's not that you felt out of control. Have you ever felt not in control? If that's been you, or if you've ever experienced that at any time in your life, yeah, go ahead and type me in the chat. If you have experienced being out of control or not in control. I remember this was in college or just after college. I was driving to a friend's house. I lived in the state of Massachusetts, and it was a winter day. It was snowing, and it wasn't snowing that bad, but it was snowing enough for it to be a little bit dangerous on the road. But this is the state of Massachusetts. where we're used to snow and we're used to bad weather and driving in the winter. So I decided that I was gonna go out to work on some music at a friend's house. So packed my keyboard, my Korg M1. Y'all remember that? Who was? If you're a musician and you remember a Korg M1, yeah, I had saved up money to buy that thing. Packed it in the back of or the trunk of my car. And I'm driving to my friend's house, and in the space where we live, or in the area where we live, there were a lot of back roads. There was the highways, yeah, but there were a lot of back roads. And I decided I was going to take a back road because the back road was the shortest way to my destination. So I'm on this back road and I'm driving, come around some corners, and I'm driving. And I get to this place on this hill where I see a car coming towards me. But because it's snowing, everybody isn't driving on their sides of the road. Everybody is driving in the center of the road because that's where the tracks had been created by whoever had driven before, right? You don't want to drive on the side of the road because if you slide and you slide off into a ditch, etc. So there's a car coming towards me, and he or she or whoever it is driving in the center of the road. So I move over to avoid them. But after them, there was a corner behind them. So I move over to avoid them and I begin to go around the corner. So I turn my steering wheel, to get around the corner. And as I do this, I feel the back of the car begin to slide. So I try to correct to regain control of the car, and the car slides the other way. And I try to correct again to regain control, and the car whips and slides the other way. And then I try to turn the wheel again, but this time the car is already gaining in momentum, and it doesn't recorrect. So the car is sliding. The car is kind of sideways a bit, but still moving forward. And the car is sliding as I go around this corner, and there is a tree across the road. And I see this tree coming towards me. And I don't know if you've ever been in an accident. I don't know if you've ever had a situation where you could not control all of the things in that moment. But as I'm watching this tree coming towards me, it looks like everything's happening in slow motion. And this tree is coming towards me. It's not a small tree, it's a wide tree. This tree is coming towards me, and I can't do a thing about it. I know that there's going to be an impact. I know that there's going to be an accident. The only question is how hard it's going to be. So this tree is coming towards me, and before you know it, bam, I hit the tree. Entire front of my car is crumpled. The car spins. It ends up on the other side of the road. And I am in pain because this is not back in the day where you had airbags in cars, right? We didn't have airbags. The seatbelt, protected me, but it also like yanked my shoulder. And, I felt like a bone, my clavicle was broken. And, I roll out of the car and I kind of crawl to the other side of the road. Ambulances come, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I was out of control and I could see this thing happening. I remember another story where I drove into a snowbank and I got stuck. And if you've ever driven during the winter or in a space where there's snow, you've had this happen. I drove into a snowbank and I got stuck. And so what happens is you try to get out of that snowbank. I rev the car. I press the gas all the way down. The wheels are spinning. But the more that the wheels spin, the more the car gets stuck. The more the wheels spin, they push against the snow and they become packed and it becomes more icy and I can't gain any traction. So the wheels are spinning. I gun the car, but it's not moving anywhere. After a while, I became concerned that if I kept spinning the wheels, right, the car would move, run out of gas, and I'd be stuck even worse. I was not in control. So I wanted to go through the two scenarios. In one, I was out of control, and in one, I was not in control. Have you felt both or either? Most people fear both. Right? We fear being out of control, and we fear being not in control. And because of that, a lot of us live in our comfort zones. Right? Most people live in their comfort zones because they fear being out of control. When the truth is, you're already out of control because of the fear. You don't move forward and you remain stuck in that same space because of the fear. I want you to dig into your space right now. I want you to dig into your life and think about where you're stuck. Is there any area that you're stuck? Is there any area that you're feeling like, oh my gosh, if I move past this, or if I make a different decision, or if I take this risk, I'm going to be out of control or not in control? And so you stay right where you are. You stay in the place that is realistic. How many of you have heard this in your lives, right? You think about something and you want to take a chance, or you want to do something, and somebody says, that's not realistic. Type me if you've heard that before. That's not realistic. You got to be realistic, Robert. You got to be realistic, Marie Claude. You got to be realistic, Nathalie. You got to be realistic, Jessica. You got to be a realistic, Mark. You got to be realistic, Eric. How many of you have heard you've got to be realistic? And what happens is most people tell you that you've got to be realistic because they're projecting their fear of taking risks on you. Most people live in their comfort zones because they fear being out of control, when the truth is you're already out of control or not in control because of the fear. Isn't that crazy? Like an oxymoron, right? Being stuck and out of control or not in control at the same time. But let me tell you 3 things that keep people stuck. And this is the meat of what we want to do this morning. All right. Do me a favor before we jump into that meat. If you've not shared this, if you've not attended one of the Monday Mindset shows before, number 1, lock it in. Number 2, text live to 240-557-8679 so that you can know when we're on. And number 3, share with somebody. All right, so let's jump on in. 3 things that keep people stuck. Number 1 is focusing on what you can't control. Focusing on what you cannot control. Right? Which is why I tend to not watch the news that often. I can't control what's happening out there. The more that we get ourselves engaged in what other people are doing, the more that we get ourselves bought into what other people are doing. I was looking on social media this week, and there's some stuff about Kendrick Lamar and Drake. Right? People are seriously getting into arguments. People are seriously locking in. And yeah, this is entertainment. Yes, it's funny. But it's something that is outside of us. It's something that is out of our control. It's out of our space. It's something that we have nothing to do with. It's something that we cannot contribute to. We just smile and we laugh about it. And we tend to focus on things that are out of our control. So the question that I want you to ask yourself is, as I think about, or as I navigate my world, there are people that are going to upset me. There are people that are going to annoy me. There are things that are going to work not in my favor. What is it that I can change about me? As you walk through this week, what is it that you can change about you? There are going to be some challenges that you're going to encounter this week. There are going to be some stuff that don't work how you want it to. What is it that you can change about you? Okay, so question or element or item, focusing on what you can't control. That's one thing that keeps you stuck. Question to change that. What is it that I can change about me? So the number 2 thing that keeps people stuck is focusing on what you don't have. This is big. One of the biggest things about social media is we constantly look at what other people have, what other people do, where other people are going. And yeah, it's nice to see what your friends are up to. The problem is that we focus so much on that. If we begin to focus on it, we begin to think about, oh, I need to go to this place. I need to get this. I need to dress this way. I need to have this in order to be appreciated, accepted, or to be a part of. And sometimes we rationalize it to ourselves that, oh, I'm not trying to be the other person. I'm just trying to be cute. Okay. Does being cute mean looking like what the other person says or what the fashion icon says? Or is being cute being confident in who you are, no matter what you're wearing or where you are or what you look like? So focusing on what you don't have, that's the second thing that keeps people stuck. How do I get past? Well, here's my question. What do I have that I can be grateful for? What do I have that I can be grateful for? Man, think about what is good in your life. Simple things. It might sound like an old person statement, but man, the fact that I can breathe, that's huge. We think about it as something simple, but let's go back into my biology or my science background. There's so many things that have to happen in order for you to take a breath. Right? Your muscles must contract at a specific time regularly. Your diaphragm needs to operate at a certain capacity regularly. Your lungs need to operate. Your alveoli inside of your lungs need to be able to be functional. Your sinus needs to be open. Right? There's so many different things that need to happen in a millisecond or a microsecond in order for you to sustain life. Be grateful for that. What's one thing that I have? What is one thing that I can be grateful for? I can be grateful for opening my eyes. I can be grateful for hearing. I can be grateful for having gas in my car. I can be grateful for being able to plug my EV into a charging station. I can be grateful that I've got kids. I can be grateful that I don't have kids. I can be grateful that I ate cereal this morning. I can be grateful that I was able to see light this morning. I can be great. So many things that I can be grateful. And the more that you are grateful, the more that it changes your perspective of the moment that you're in. What do you have that you can be grateful for? So, thing number 3 or item number 3 that keeps people stuck is focusing only on the past or the future. So many of us focus on what others have done to us. So many of us focus on things that have happened to us. And we operate based on our fear of that. We operate based on not wanting to experience that again. We stay in our comfort zones. We don't take risks because we are nervous about failure. We're nervous about repeating the past, and we're continuing to focus on the past. So many relationships, so many friendships get messed up or don't move forward because we are focused on the past. And it's easy for us to get that. What's even harder for us to get, what's not as easy for us to get, is when we talk about being focused on the future. We focus on what we want to buy. We focus on what we want to do or where and we're focusing on those things, and we're thinking about it, and we're analysis paralysis mode, and we don't get to the future because we're only focused on the future, and we're missing what's happening right now. We're missing what's happening in our present. I like to say it this way: plan for the future, but focus on right now. So as you think about getting unstuck, or you think about regaining control, the question that I ask you is, what action can I implement in the present? What action can I implement right now. Let me give you an example of this in a story. There was a young man who was sent by his father to get wood, and he got in the truck and he drove to the place where he needed to get wood. He drove off of this road and there was a lot of wood right close by. So he drives off the road, and because it had been raining recently, the ground where he drove was a little bit soft, and so the truck tires got stuck in the mud. So he did what most of us would do when our tires get stuck in the mud. He pressed the gas harder, and the tires began to spin and mud began to fly everywhere, but the truck wasn't going anywhere. So he continued to do this, and after a while, he began to look at the road, and he began to notice that there were people driving by, and he started to get annoyed that nobody was stopping to help. And as a matter of fact, he started to think and wish that his car was not, or his truck was not stuck in the mud, and he was on the road, and he started to desire what everybody else was doing. He began to resent them for not helping him, but he began to desire where they were or what they were doing. He wished that he was free like they were. But after a little bit, he remembered what his dad had asked him to do. His dad had asked him to get some wood. So he said, you know what? I'm pressing this gas and I'm going nowhere. Nobody's stopping to help me. Let me just do what I came here to do. So he got his axe and he went and he started chopping wood. And he chopped wood and he chucked it in the truck, and he went back and he got some more. He chopped the wood and he chucked it in the back of the truck, and he chopped wood and he chucked it in the back of the truck, and he kept doing that for at least a couple of hours. And after a couple of hours, the back of the truck was full of the wood that he chopped. So he'd had enough. There was no more space. And so he decided, okay, yep, let me go into the truck and try this once more. He gets in the truck, turns the truck on, and he presses the gas, pushes his foot on the accelerator, and the truck starts to move forward out of the mud. What am I saying here? So instead of staying stuck and spinning your wheels, ask what you can do now. Because here's what happened with the young man. He drove out easily because the weight in the back of the truck made it easier to gain traction. So instead of staying stuck and spinning your wheels, what can you do now in the present moment? Can you chop wood and put it in the back of the truck? Yeah. Here's the other point that I want to make with that. Sometimes it's the weight, the burden, or the risk that helps you to get the traction that you need to move forward. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's the weight, the burden, the risk, the challenge that helps you to get the traction that you need to move forward. So as we land the plane here, I like to give homework, and here's a little bit of homework. I want to give you 2 items to work on today. Number 1, I want you to sit and think for a little bit and write down one action you can take with yourself. What is one thing you can change in you today to get better? Can you pause a beat when somebody says something to you? Can you pause for a moment and think before you just impulsively launch a word out of your mouth? What can you do? I want you to write down one thing you can do today to get better. Number 2, I want you to write down one thing you are grateful for and say it out loud. I want you to write down one thing you're grateful for and say it out loud. Everybody, that's all for this week. Join me this Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Eastern Daylight Time for Story to Sales on LinkedIn Audio. This week, we're talking about the art of persuasion. Hey, Don Kirk Lewis, Danny, I see you, my friend. I'll see you on Wednesday for our Story to Sales session. We're talking about the art of persuasion. We're going to be exploring how storytelling can be a powerful tool in persuading clients and closing deals. Oh, yeah. Text live to 240-557-8679 so that we can send you the link and you can join us for our Story to Sales session. It's Monday, and we want to shift your mindset to a place of growth. It doesn't just start and stop on Monday. I want to encourage you to take your Monday mindset into tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. Be curious, make a choice, move, start a movement. Be a movement. Join me next week, Monday at 8 a.m. on the Monday Mindset Movement here on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. Yeah. Join me. Get a pickup, get a lift up. Until then, be amazing, my friends. Peace.